What's that?
Gotta let the cat out of there.
Oh, okay.
Silly kitties! Silly kitties! Yeah, let's fucking. Yeah, I guess we'll just jump right into it then. Alright, everybody. Welcome back for another episode of the West Loop. We're on episode 8 here now. Trucking along. Hoping to hit double digits here pretty quick. Yeah, we don't have a lot of we're going complete opposite. Last week we had a kind of like researched topic all laid out, but this week I think we're just kind of lamenting the lack of live music in our lives these days. Sorry, I guess I could introduce myself. I'm Kale, here with my co-host.
I'm Cam. I like what you had to say. That I'm definitely fiending for live music, which I actually did purchase tickets yesterday to my first online concert.
Oh boy.
Which I'm actually like kind of excited about it. Like that shows you how shitty things have gotten.
Yeah, dude, I can't describe. I just did one of those live concerts right before Christmas, and I had a great fucking time.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I might even take the night off of work, but we'll see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for that. But yeah, anyways, we're just gonna. I don't know. To quote my mom, when I talked about just like seeing live music and finding a love for my live music, she kind of like said to me one time, just like, you should really like write down all the shows and artists you've seen, because like over time, you're just gonna forget, and it's like cool to know what you've seen and what you've been through. And so, I took that advice like quite a while ago, like right at the like beginning stages of my interest for live music, and so yeah, we're gonna just kind of go over probably a good, I would say, 80% of the shows on my list. You've been with me, so that'll help. And we'll talk about our early years and our introduction to live music, and just go over like some of our favorite moments, and yeah, just kind of just our shared love for live music and music in general, and yeah, we'll just go with that.
We just want to bum everybody else out and have them thinking about all the good times they've had and how you can't do that right now.
Exactly, yeah. But honestly, like reminiscing, for some reason, I feel like we as a friend group, and maybe it's because like you're just chilling, partaking, having a couple drinks or smoking a bit, and it's just like you get reminiscing, and I feel like that gives you such a satisfaction still of that event that took place. Yeah, it's not the same, but it still makes you feel good.
Yeah, relive it, yeah.
That's you vape and take a swig of your beer.
Hell yeah.
Your good old 3:00 beer.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, bud.
This day's off, baby.
I know.
It's my podcast juice.
Your podcast juice. But yeah, anyway, so we'll get into the timeline piece first or later, but we'll talk more like about just like our early years.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, what?
I was just gonna admit that, like, we already mentioned it once before, but yeah, that's a mark of shame I'll never shake. Is that my first like real show was Nickelback?
Yeah, it was my first concert as well. Might have been honestly my first 2 concerts.
Yeah, probably.
I don't have the dates and everything for these early years.
Oh, no idea.
I know then I was kind of introduced to like more so like, I know we also talked about this in the podcast at one point, but we were at a Theory of a Dead Man 3 Days Grace concert.
Mm-hmm.
Similar style. But then kind of that butt rock slowly faded into you introducing me to kind of, I don't know, I don't want to generalize all this music, but it was more metal, more hardcore, more like screamo kind of technical stuff, right? And then we discovered the venue of McEwen Hall in Calgary, which was probably, I would say, for a good 2 years, was like the only venue we really went to for concerts.
Pretty much, yeah. It was the only place that people we were into could play, right?
Yeah. And so, like I said, I don't have the years, but like, I mean, there was Protest the Hero several times.
Oh
There
yeah.
was Kill Switch Engage. There was Devil Wears Prada. There was Alexis on Fire. Like,
We saw them
I don't know.
pretty. I remember getting driven to Calgary by like parents to see that one.
Oh yeah, same with like
Well,
Kill
most of
Switch
them, yeah.
Engage. I think
Yeah,
a lot of those early ones were before we could drive.
yeah, that's pretty wild.
I remember. I don't remember at what concert, but I have a vivid memory of McEwen Hall, and I was like a little bit too. I don't know. I was too scared, I guess, to get right into the mosh. Whereas I remember you were like, "No, I'm going in. I'm going in."
I was
And
pretty scared.
you came out of the mosh and you had gotten punched in the face and you had braces
Oh, I
and
had braces. Yeah,
you're just bleeding everywhere out of your mouth. I'll vividly remember. I don't know what concert. Do you remember what concert that
I
was?
remember. It was Protesting Hero because I can remember it was like they were playing their new shit from Fortress, and I was just so keyed up because I hadn't heard any of it before. I'd only heard their like first album, and yeah, I was like having a fucking time. And I can remember it was like it's before you get into the real grindy mosh stuff, and it's at the beginning when people are doing that stupid thrash dance shit from like the like the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
And yeah, some dude. I mean, it's one thing when they're doing their thrash dancing, and you catch a blow. But this guy, I can specifically remember the strobes going, and I just see this guy standing facing forward, turning around, seeing me, and then just full on wallet, just punching me right in the mouth like some 15-year-old, 14-year-old kid. And yeah, my braces just embedded themselves in my lips, and I just like I remember trying to pull them off of my braces, and then yeah, that's when the blood started coming, and I had to run to the fucking bathroom.
Oh god. And I don't think it was at the same show. I feel like this one was at Kill Switch Engage, but we also had a friend who rolled his ankle in the mosh,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
his
and just kept
ankle was
going.
so swollen, like it was like doubled in size almost, like just
Does my ankle look swollen? And yeah, you have a fucking softball inserted
yeah,
into your shin, dude.
yeah. No, I definitely remember those shows just and like I know we touched on this too, but like I think one of the biggest reasons we love the shows is we would go even not even for like necessarily the main event. And being such a small venue and like the merch stands, a lot of the bands would just chill at their merch stands
uh,
afterwards. So you'd get to go get pictures and meet the band and get them to sign your stuff that you buy. Like
it was pretty cool.
that is probably the biggest credit to my early years of finding a love for music. I don't really remember like I know you probably seen a lot more other bigger shows. I know I didn't really go to bigger concerts then quite yet.
Well, my parents definitely like instilled in me like that love of live music. Like my parents have always liked going to shows. So yeah, early on, even before like that was even a thing that I would consider, like I never like thought of going to see a band play live on my own kind of thing. My parents would just take me like we went and saw the Killers one time, and like I saw Judas Priest a couple times when I was like early teens, and that
Yeah, I
was
remember you
those were
going to
quite
those.
the fucking shows. But yeah, so it was like live music was always a thing that was like kind of cool, kind of fun. But again, I'd only ever been at those like big stadium shows when you're sitting in a chair, and I kind of didn't really get the allure. Like it was neat to see a band play stuff that you knew, but I didn't get the energy of being at a live show until we started going to those McEwen Hall ones and like being in a crowd, like in standing room only, and just like all, yeah, like feeling like part of the mob, vibing to the music together, kind of thing. Which is like it's some hippie shit, but that is one of the coolest like communal experiences we have left. Is everybody experiencing like music together? I fucking love that feeling, and I miss it a lot. But
This is just a random thought, but I think it shows you how powerful in some ways like the music is and seeing and experiencing it live.
yeah,
Is all this talk that you're saying too is just like it's pre any sort of um consumption, right? Like you're it's not like you're
yeah, I was
drinking
like sober the
alcohol.
whole
It's not
time,
like
right?
you yeah, like you were just enjoying we were just enjoying the
Just had a
music. I
good
mean,
time.
we couldn't even fucking drive then. So, yeah. And then I remember like you got your license, and so then we started going to shows solo with our trust from parents. And then I think our first summer of you having your license was when we were like, oh, we're going to Warped Tour. Actually, I feel like the
We
first time
went
we
to Warped
went to
Tour
Warped,
once, getting a ride. Yeah,
yeah, we did, yeah. And that's kind of where I guess the initial love for like a festival idea came from. I'm sure. I honestly like being from where we live. We don't really have the kind of festivals that we would want to see for music. Like you generally have to travel to see anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't really exposed to that. But Warped Tour was an interesting realm of like similar genre of music that we had got to see all in one. I think it was just one day, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, everyone knows Warped Tour. Like you're seeing your classic bands, and some of the same bands that I mentioned. But I mean, we've seen lots of others. Like trying to think of like names that we really enjoyed in those
Oh,
years.
more
Like
Protest the Hero there we saw.
more Protest the Hero. I Set My Friends on Fire.
Yeah, that was
I
a fun
remember
one.
those guys. Alexis on Fire.
Actually, I do have to mention that's one of the most original, like dumb crowd work things I've seen from a band. Is that I Set My Friends on Fire wanted to see someone crowd surfing, like literally surfing on someone. So they like got the tallest guy they could find, the widest guy, and they're like, okay, everybody hold him up, and now we need the smallest girl, and then get her, and then she's like standing on him like a surfboard as we pass this
Yeah,
guy
I
around.
totally remember
Yeah.
that.
That was
And I
fun.
remember because they weren't very big, but I think they probably didn't realize the actual turnout they were going to get to that set. It was at one of the smaller stages that was in a dirt area compared to the
Yeah.
actual pavement of the. It was at Race City Speedway, which is not a thing anymore in Calgary, but just literally like a circled racetrack. But this was just in a like a dirt area, and there was just dust
Yeah.
fucking everywhere from people running and going crazy.
Well, that was one of my
in the
first
mosh.
circle pits. So yeah, they got a circle
Yeah.
pit going, and all of a sudden, just like it just brings this column of dust rising out of the middle of it. And
Yeah.
nobody could see anything. Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah, I remember that. And then yeah, like I know there's more. Did we see 303 as at a Warped Tour as well, or was that just a solo show?
I feel like we saw them at that one McEwen show.
Yeah,
I still
I-
remember.
I-
I remember going from Katy Perry before,
yeah.
like not long after I Kissed a Girl, like before she became some superstar.
It was. I'm pretty sure it was the summer of I Kissed a Girl. I
Yeah.
think she released a Kissed a Girl in like early of that year, and then that summer, because like she didn't have anything. I mean, this girl blew up shortly after that. So like, why would she be at a Warped Tour realistically?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
so
we-
strange.
We all went from Katy Perry to Protest.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That was like shows the diversity of the Warped Tour experience for sure.
Well, and to her merch, and at the time too, like I remember one of our friends bought a shirt that said Katy Perry slept here. Like-
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I know I'm missing a lot of bands. Probably a lot I don't fully remember, to be honest. Like,
Oh, there's so many. I remember like just random shit. Like I remember Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. Found them like a weird
Oh,
like
yeah.
bluegrass punk thing. Like I don't know, they were fucking sweet.
yeah, I do remember them.
We saw Broken Side, which is probably the worst fucking music to come out of the 2000s.
Angels and Airwaves.
Oh, I don't remember that shit.
I remember them the one year.
I remember
don't
not
think we've
really
seen
caring.
a full set.
Just because
Yeah,
I was
we
mad at
didn't.
them about Blink, but
Yeah. I feel like what was I only can remember like one song by them, but was it Atreyu?
oh yeah, oh no, we saw Atreyu opening for Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And then
Cool with My Valentine wasn't there, and we didn't know that till we got there.
right. Yeah. Yeah, there was so many artists in those days, and I feel like that they're generally summarized as Warped Tour kind of artists.
Yeah,
We
for
didn't get
sure.
to go in the super early years, like probably the greater Warped Tour years. I feel like we definitely hit the last.
Yeah,
few
we caught it
years
as
of-
it was dying, kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, anyways, from there it just evolved into occasional concerts kind of thing. And then
Yeah.
my timeline, I started in 2013, essentially because that was the last year before we had gone to an actual like big legit music festival.
Yeah.
And I'll remember it was probably the summer of 2012 or 11. No, 12. And we had discovered this festival called Sasquatch Music Festival at the Gorge Amphitheater in Washington. and it had a lineup. I remember the lineup that year just had some of our favorite artists, like Childish Gambino was there as like one of the biggest ones, and I still have this regret. But like we were too young, we were too broke, and we
Yeah.
realized there's no fucking way in hell we're gonna get to go to this
Here we
festival.
went to PAX instead. No.
Yes. Yeah. Um, and yeah, 2014 is when we first went to our first music festival. I do have in 2013 though, actually right before that music festival, we did see Queens of the Stone Age
Oh yeah, yeah, that
at the
was a sweet
Stampede
show.
Corral. The first time we seen Queens. It's hard to believe, but I've seen Queens 3 times, which is
Shit,
just wild to me.
that is
Um,
crazy.
so yeah, and then 2014 was our first Sasquatch, and in my opinion, probably I would argue the most significant Sasquatch. When I try to, I don't know, just when people ask like what musicians you've seen live, this is definitely the year I try to explain when it comes to a music festival, just because of the opportunity. Obviously, the biggest headliner was we were part of. We got to see like the reunion tour of Outkast, which I
Yeah,
feel
that
like
was pretty fucking
on a
wild.
significance of that, like that's pretty wild. Like not many people our age had the opportunity to see Outkast and take it for what it was. It was a little bit weird. I feel like I enjoyed it. They did a good enough time putting on a show, but the whole Andre 3000 thing was a little bit strange.
Yeah, I'm kind of a sucker for that when they do the weird performance art type shit. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was something.
yeah, it was. I mean, I'll vividly always remember just standing pretty decently close. We got a pretty good spot on the floor, not on the hill. For those who don't know, the Gorge Amphitheater, an amazing venue. I literally recommend anyone who likes live music to go there. You get an opportunity to have like the enjoyment of sitting on a hill, but being right on the floor as well, in the cement in front of the stage. And we chose to be on the floor for this one, and there was just like a countdown. There was just this cube that appeared with a sheet over this cube, and you could see their silhouettes move as this like song was building up in the background, and then all of a sudden like boom, bombs over Baghdad hits, and fucking like they come out of this cube. It was just insane. Like
No, that's
I'll
sick.
always remember that. But then yeah, we also seen Queens again that year. And then I don't know if she was a headliner, but I have her in the headliner slot for the third day that we seen too was MIA.
Yeah, we only caught a bit of it, but I remember walking by like, yeah, that's a fucking crazy looking show. I think we were on the way to
Yep.
Tyler the Creator, but
Yeah, Tyler was also that day. Now, do we have a? Is this the Tyler story or is that a different year? I feel like
um,
this is the because would this have been Wolf?
yeah,
No.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then because I remember, yeah, because Domo
because
23
we
played, and that's when it went insane.
because I've seen Tyler for Wolf, Cherry Bomb, and um, Flower Boy.
Yeah, I did see him. I kind of fell off of him with the whole Cherry Bomb era. But.
Oh well, Cherry Bomb's arguably his worst album. I only caught a snippet of his Cherry Bomb set at Pemberton, which we'll get to. And then what year? Like when we seen them at, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but when we seen him at One Love, that was kind of also Wolf, was it not? Still,
No,
or
I feel like
was
Cherry Bomb would come out, but he hadn't done Flower Boy yet.
yeah? And then yeah, there's a whole other piece to that changed that show too. But yeah, just to mention a few names that we've seen this year, and if you have any stories or anything you want to. Actually, one right off the bat, I have a story for. Is we got the first day we seen Chance the Rapper, and it
Yeah,
was
that was
before he
wild.
had blown up, and yeah, I remember it being probably a huge significant moment for me. And when I talk about top shows, like it's up there. Just I don't know why. I think just it was like kind of emotional. Like he was just like so good. And then he did the Arthur theme song, which blew
Yeah,
up to like number 1 on Reddit actually at the time. And yeah, we were there, and I remember seeing so many videos and quite a few on YouTube of it because it was a big deal, and you could see us in the back, like in the actual floor of the videos, which was
oh
kind of cool.
yeah. No, that was a really cool. I don't know. I mean, it's cheesy shit, but the whole like learn to love each other. You know, it was just real. It
Yeah,
felt like some like our Woodstock shit. You know, everybody was just vibing and having a good time, and
And I think that's what Chance kind of brought then, especially with Acid Rap. Like it was before it was before he really blew up. He had really only had, what is it, 10 Day? Is that his first album?
Yeah, well,
His
Acid Rap was
first
out at
EP?
that point, and that's like
Yeah,
what
no,
was.
and Acid Rap is what I was gonna say. Yeah,
Yeah,
which I mean, to me, that's what I remember Chance the Rapper
yeah,
as.
oh
I've
yeah,
kind of fallen off on the Chance the Rapper train with his last two albums, but Acid Rap is up there for me for all time favorites, and it was an um, unreal show.
no, it was so
Um,
good.
yeah, we seen Foster the People that day too. I think they were before Outcast, and then the next day we seen our first Tyler the Creator show, which I do have a story on a slight story on that one. I have these titles for just some stories just to try and remember. Tyler Human Tidal Wave.
Yeah, that was
I
pretty
just
crazy.
remember being like talking about being at metal shows. Like this was crazier than any metal show I'd ever been at because you had quite a wide range and probably a general younger audience. Also, a lot of females, and it was just like unreal to. And it wasn't like people were moshing. There was just this chaos of a wave going side to side, and
Yeah,
people were literally falling on top of each other because they were getting pushed so much over. Like I remember falling several times, like landing on people around me. Like, it
yeah.
was awful. Like you would hear people like crying because they're getting crushed by other people. Like
Wait, you could see
definitely.
it coming. It was like people were like raising up, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh fuck!" And then you're falling over, and by the time you get back up, it's coming from the other way.
Exactly. Yeah, but it was an amazing show. My first chance to get to seeing Tyler's, so like that was huge.
Yeah, it was super
Um,
fun.
I've washed out that day too, which I remember we were big
Yeah,
into
we just
washed
caught a
out. I don't
piece
think
of
we,
it, but
yeah, we did got to see it all, but and then probably one of the bigger shows that I was really excited for was Kid Cudi, which I remember being like not amazed by it. It was a good show,
yeah, it was solid.
but yeah, that's our first Sasquatch experience, which
Yeah, I
it
don't
was a
think everything will live up to that one too. It was like both the first like kind of festival where you're staying there for a whole weekend, like
yeah.
camping and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. It was. I don't know if it was because it was the first time or if the vibe, like the people going, did change over the next few years. But it was the most like I don't know. It just felt so like, I mean, safe. First of all, you never felt like anybody was gonna fuck with you. Like I don't know. Everybody just seemed to be there to have a good time, and like everybody was super open and
Yeah. Well,
nice.
from my
And
understanding of Sasquatch, towards like I feel like 2014 is still even considered to be a pretty meh year. Like it sounds like the festival evolved in a different direction, which may appeal to some others, but generally to those like original Sasquatch um, fans, they felt as though the festival had really gone in a different direction over the years, and I think it tried. Live Nation tried to make it appeal to a wider range. Obviously, makes sense, more money, but unfortunately, it kind of took away from what Sasquatch intended to be and what it originally was. So I feel like with 2014, it had already changed a bit, but it still kind of had some of that original value and probably a lot of those original people attending the festival, which probably did make it feel a bit older and a bit more safe. I don't know. We were so young then too, and it was like our first time. Like, I mean, I know we had traveled by ourselves without parents and stuff like that. Definitely by then, but we had. It was definitely like a big venture for sure.
oh yeah,
And yeah, I I do remember that year as being quite a fun year.
that was good. And that was kind of like the first kind of like when we were talking about all the McEwen Hall shows. I wondered how much we actually enjoyed those experiences and the music itself as much as it was just like we feel so much nostalgia for it because it was like the first time, at least for me, it was the first time I was deciding which shows I was going to go see. Like before I'd gone to live music and I liked it fine, but it never felt like my experience. It was like just something I was tagging along with my parents for. So the McEwen Hall stuff, like both being able to drive yourself, so going places with your friends on your own, and then also
Yeah.
getting to like see music that is your music kind of thing, I
Mhm.
think drove a lot of like how special those experiences were. But Sasquatch was definitely kind of the beginning of like doing that, but actually having music taste. You know?
Totally. Yeah. And then from there you have, um, yeah, I have like our solo shows in the sense of like not just music festivals in here.
Mm.
And that summer, I'll let you tell the story, but I have it written down as the Danny Brown Throwdown. We
Oh
seen Danny
yeah,
Brown in a small club. It was called 10 Nightclub.
yeah,
I
it's dead
believe
now.
it actually closed down like shortly after this concert because it got shot up or something.
Yeah, there was a shooting there. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, an amazing show. Such a small venue. But why don't you tell the experience there?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was having a great time. It was Danny Brown is fucking crazy live, especially in such a small room. Um, got to high five the dude that night. That was sweet. But I'll never forget. Yeah. So then I see everybody else smoking joints. I'm like, fuck it. I can probably get away with it. And then yeah, we're just smoking the joint or whatever. And then I pass it to I think it would have been you or one of our buddies. And then
It was
they were
me, yeah.
just chiefing it, not thinking. And then went to hand it back to me. And I just like went to grab it, and then so I didn't even get to like haul off of it yet. By the time I'm grabbing it, and all of a sudden this hand comes out of nowhere because it's like a crowded place, and just smacks it out of my hands. And I look down, and then I see their foot just stomp on it and like put it out. And I was just like, "What the fuck, you asshole!" Thinking it's just another patron. So I like instantly I follow the foot up the leg and kind of jump at the person like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, you dick?" And then just all of a sudden grabs me by the scruff of the shirt and just like, "You're out of here, get out of here," and like start trying to like take me down. Well, they did
Yeah,
tackle me.
I think he did tackle you.
Yeah, because I came up seeing the foot stomping mad, yelling at him, and then as soon as I yelled, all of a sudden, boom, I'm on the ground. This
Yeah.
guy's got his like hands around my friggin' neck. And then, yeah, he like hauls me up. He's like, "You're out of here. You're getting out of here." I was just like, "Okay, I'll walk out then." Like, stop. And then it took me being like, "I'll walk out. Fucking leave me alone. Stop touching me." And then his other buddy's like, "Okay, he's fine, man." And then he let me go and I just walked out. But yeah, got kicked
Yeah.
out for that. It was pretty brutal. But,
And I remember. I don't know if it was the last song, but it was like the second last song. Like you didn't miss.
I didn't
much,
miss much
and
of it,
luckily for you.
no, I'll
But yeah,
still never forget. I forget which song it is. It's a horrible line. But at one point he says, "Bitch pussy tastes like Cool Ranch Doritos." And as soon as he said that, this chick out of her purse pulls like a family-sized Costco bag of Doritos Cool Ranch and shakes it at him, and he looks and grabs it and just tears it open, and all of a sudden there's fucking Cool Ranch Doritos raining down on the crowd.
oh god, yeah, I'll
An image
remember
burned
that.
in my brain.
Yeah, that was a great night,
But
a fantastic night.
yeah, I wore my Every Time I Die shirt, and like 3 separate people like. It was weird. Like half the time they're like making fun of me, and then the other half were like, "Oh, respect!" Like, why the fuck are you wearing a weird hardcore shirt to a rap show?
Yeah. I'll also remember being out in like the outdoor smoke pit, and before he came on, and we were talking to a group of dudes who have gone to like they were going to show. They were probably from Calgary and they went to shows there often, but they were at 10 like a couple weeks prior to that, and Run the Jewels was there. Not
Yeah,
advertised as Run the Jewels. They were out. It was before they were called Run the Jewels. They were just themselves together. Like it
yeah,
was just LP and Killer Mike.
that's crazy.
And I was just like, it was before we really even knew them, but like I vividly remember that, which was kind of crazy.
Well, and then they told a story about how Action Bronson and Danny Brown were supposed to have been there like a year prior, but Danny got turned around at the border to
Right.
Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I have for 2014. I don't know, like, if I'm missing anything. I'm pretty sure for me I'm not, but
I think 2014. I saw some shows with Char. I remember seeing Vance Joy and who was it? Young the Giant. Young
oh
the
yeah, I
Giant was
remember you
kinda
guys going to
lame.
that show. Yeah.
But Vance Joy was sick, and that was definitely like I had been like a rap and hardcore kid for the whole time. Like if the music doesn't make me want to punch things, I don't want to listen to it. And that was kind of the beginnings of me kind of learning to sit with a little less high energy music and enjoy the more subtle
Yeah.
side of things. So
With that year, what venue was that at?
that was at McEwen.
Which is crazy because like I remember going to a concert, which I'll get into later, at Rogers Place in Edmonton, and Vance Joy was playing there.
Oh
Like
wow.
that guy's. I was like, what? Like I only really know Riptide, so I'm just like,
as most people, yeah.
yeah, I was just kind of shocked. So yeah, is that all you have extra then for 2014?
As far as I can remember, my memory
Yeah.
is mush, but
So yeah, 2015 was a huge year too. I remember we decided to try out this new festival that we unfortunately in 2014 didn't get to go to because we had already committed to Sasquatch, and I actually didn't even know that much about Pemberton Music Festival at that point. But then all of a sudden, I heard about it afterwards and kind of almost regretted why we didn't get to go to Pemberton Music Festival, especially for me because Frank Ocean was that year,
yeah.
and I still haven't got to see that motherfucker. But we went to Pemberton instead of Sasquatch in 2015. I believe the Sasquatch lineup for us at the time wasn't what we thought it would be great. And then I remember like looking, and maybe we can put it up, or we can even pull it up ourselves because it might help us. But I remember like looking it back afterwards. I'm like, why the fuck didn't we go to Sasquatch in 2015? I'll pull up the image here. Or sorry,
you mean 2016?
Oh, I have the years wrong.
Yeah, I'm all confused.
Oh, I see. It splits it here. 2015. Oh yeah, 2016. So 2015 we went to both then, right?
Yeah.
Right, which that's crazy too, because like I mean they're only like 2 months apart. So in 2 months we go to like arguably two of the biggest music festivals. In some ways, yes,
like
it's not a Coachella.
But
Yeah, in the Northwest for sure. So yeah, in 2015, then we go to Sasquatch to start, which was a huge year. I definitely like you can tell by the lineup alone a changed year to kind of the direction they were going into appealing to. Their biggest headliner and poll that year was Kendrick Lamar, which was obviously we'll get to that, but and then you had like some interesting polls too, though. Like you had like Robert Plant, which I remember being super excited about. Um, in hindsight, it was as much as it was cool and like yeah, I got to say that we seen Robert Plant. It wasn't quite what I expected.
No, it wasn't that great.
But yeah, like well, I guess we'll kind of go by day for that. So like the first day, and this one has a big story on it. Is we seen Action Bronson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was wild.
And I have that as the Bronson Storm, which was insane. I remember it was a pretty nice day, and then kind of right as we were in the crowd, because we were quite early for a Bronson, because we were big fans.
Mm-hmm.
We were right on the barrier, from what I remember, maybe like a person in front of us kind of thing. And these clouds just started rolling in, and the wind started picking up. Like, and it was like, holy shit. Like, and then there was a bit of thunder and lightning. It started to rain a bit. And then I think he was on at this point, but they started like lowering the screens on each side because the screens were like swaying around. And freaking just Bronson rocked it, an amazing set. And I had heard a lot of mixed reviews on Bronson live, so like I was a little bit like nervous to see what it was going to be like, because I've heard he's kind of can be lazy at times, and when he is, he just doesn't put on a great show. But he killed it, man. Like I remember just being such a good show, and then just the experience of just like watching the stage like sway around and it feeling like it might at any point just
fall
right onto us was like wild in itself. And like even Action made like some comments a few times like holy fuck, and like it was wild. I'll vividly remember him coming back like with a plate of spaghetti and just mowing down.
Yeah, from the back, just eating pasta. Yeah.
And then at one point, after the song, he came out and just started tossing weed into the crowd because
forgot about that. He was just throwing bags of weed.
But yeah, no, that was an amazing show. I vividly remember that one. And then it's interesting because 2014 Sasquatch, I personally don't remember the tent. I don't know if the tent didn't exist that year, or if we just didn't really go to shows that year.
No, it definitely did. We went to a lot of the stand-up in there.
Oh, right. Maybe only stand-up.
I think it was only comedy.
But then, Sasquatch 2015, we discovered, and I think it was also probably went with our kind of our beginning love of electronic music, because I remember hating electronic music like for a longest time. But we went to K Trinata in the tent, or K Tranada. I don't know how you pronounce the name. Anyways, I remember it being a wild show.
Yeah.
And then we seen Mother that day too, and then Flume.
Well, yeah. Well, Run the Jewels was after Action Bronson.
No, Run the
Wasn't
Jewels was on the last day because we had to run from Kendrick Lamar right to Run the Jewels. I remember that being a big thing. Like we had to fucking book shit to get to Run the Jewels, and that's why we were pretty far back at Run the Jewels.
Gotcha. Well, I just remember because I think it must have been after Action then, where Charlie lost her phone.
Yes,
and then some random lady was calling my phone, and then but just because I remember then we ate a bunch of edibles, which is like probably one of the first few times I did that for Flume, and that was like one of the most memorable concert experiences for me for Flume.
For Flume, yeah. And we were so fucking far back. We had this field, like we had a lot of room, so I remember just vibing, like having room to dance around.
Yeah, just dancing around.
And I only knew like a few songs from Flume at that point.
I remember that Disclosure remix of his. You and Me or whatever. Yeah, that one really. That one hit pretty hard.
Lord remix too.
Yeah, Royals or whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, and then the next day, we spent a lot of time in the tent because we seen Odessa and Kezia.
Oh yeah. Well, I was like half sleeping on the side of a hill for Kezia, but
no, she was in the tent.
Yeah, I know, but like the hill, like right where like the smallest stage is.
Oh, really? I have videos of me just vibing in the tent. We were
like past that on a hill, just like listening to her from far away. Yeah.
I remember and then we had Dilated Peoples that day, which was really in the cool. Day. I remember that being a really cool set. I vividly remember them bringing this kid from the floor up to like rap with them, and he just killed it. Like the crowd just was really vibing with him. And then we seen Chromeo on the hill, which was a cool set too.
That was cool too. I remember for Dilated Peoples because they were using like all actual records for a lot of their like beats and mixing. So they had to like move their entire setup to like under the shade because the sun was literally melting the fucking records.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, man, it was so hot. And then this was also their first year of trying 4 days.
Oh yeah.
And day 3 we seen Melky Chance, Subtract, another DJ artist, and then one of my all-time favorite sets this day because we were also like right up front with James Blake.
Yeah, it was a pretty wild show.
Just an amazing live performer. I appreciate any sort of artist that doesn't just play their track and then sing or perform. I love when they can break down the track. Like he had, I believe, 2 other people, and they literally looped and built all of the songs.
Yeah, every song from scratch.
Which just, oh my god, man! Like that on a live level just makes me appreciate an artist so much.
Yeah, well, the best is when it just sounds like kind of new noise, like it's just like a new jam session, and then all of a sudden it comes together, and then you recognize it, like that moment of recognition, totally. When you pick up, oh, they're making this song. Holy shit! It's such a fucking cool feeling.
And then we seen the double headliner that night. On the hill was Lana Del Rey and then Robert Plant.
Yeah, which cool.
I remember enjoying both. Like,
yeah,
it was a good night to take a break and sit on the hill.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this is why I remember this day. I remember the last day, the 4th day, we were scared because it was 4 days, so we were already like, fuck. Remember last year, like day 3, we were so tired. This is 4 days. And then the 4th day was literally a marathon for us because we had to go. We went from Absol to Schoolboy Q at the main stage, then we had a break, and then I remember we went to Tame Impala, and then cool. Kendrick Lamar, and then had to run back from Kendrick Lamar because then Run the Jewels did the night set. Or it might have been vice versa. I can't remember if it was Run the Jewels then Kendrick Lamar or Kendrick Lamar then Run the Jewels.
I feel like we had to run to Kendrick.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, and then I don't know, at one point in time we also were in the tent for Slow Magic, which was an fucking amazing
really cool show too, yeah.
Oh, I remember loving that.
Him getting out his big old drum was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It definitely makes it feel like it taps into that tribal bullshit. Everybody dancing around the fire.
Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah.
Run the Jewels. Some things I remember. Like I remember the Kendrick Lamar set. We were really disappointed with. He'd released "To Pimp a Butterfly" that year, and through understanding it afterwards, I guess he had already confirmed Sasquatch prior to the release of "To Pimp a Butterfly." So there was like some sort of clause that prevented him from playing the album at the festival, I think,
Yeah.
or
I
something
feel like
like
he might
that.
have played one song or
I think
something.
he only played one song, and then he played "Good Kid, Mad City" like 5 times, which I think was also annoying to us
Oh,
too.
like the song Mad City. Yeah, he
Or
played that
Mad City,
over and
yeah.
over. Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong, I love that song, but then he brought up a dude, and then he was like, "Well, I brought a dude up, I should bring a girl up,"
To
and
rap the
then
first verse. Yeah. And then he
and then
played
he
it
did,
again, and then he played it again because we weren't hype enough, and then just like,
yeah,
holy fuck, dude.
that was a bit frustrating. But I remember loving the Schoolboy Q set and the Absol set,
Yeah, those were
and the
fun.
Run the Jewels thing. I remember vividly that their stage was black because um, freaking what's LP and Killer Mike. Killer Mike had his arm broken. He was in a sling, and
Oh
so
yeah.
for whatever reason, I don't know if they just didn't want us to really see that, but they didn't really have really any light on
Yeah,
them.
you could
Like you
barely.
couldn't
They were
really
just
see
silhouettes
them,
against like red
which was
light.
fine. Like it didn't really matter.
No, it was a
But
cool show.
yeah, it was an awesome show. And then yeah, that year like we got to see a lot of double artists. Like we went from a month and a half, 2 months later to Pemberton, which was an interesting experience. Not that this is about live music, but it's about the festivals themselves. I remember I mean, it was cool that we were going to a festival in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
We had also planned to go to this festival with 13 other people
Yeah.
in a convoy, which will be probably my biggest take and memory from anything to do with live music was this year was that festival, just because it was so cool. It also Pemberton brought a really interesting thing to the table with your camping being right next to the venue. It's not
No,
like
that was awesome.
you're at the venue for the day, so like you could take a break and go back to your site. Um, and with 13 people, chances are someone's going to be at the site, or chances are you just run into someone at the shows, like, which was so cool, like to have that. Um, but yeah, I also remember us being pretty picky on it because we also were exposed to something that was done so well and been done for so many years, like Sasquatch, and realizing how chaotic something like Pemberton was.
Mm-hmm.
They made you walk a couple kilometers with all your camping gear
Yeah.
from where you park your vehicle to where you actually camp, which was a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah. I think it was like 6 hours of just walking with your shit.
Yeah. And sadly, I don't remember any, not that I don't remember, I don't have any memories, as I lost my phone on that
Oh
walk
yeah.
to the
Forgot about that.
campground. I was wearing some big ass like Nike gym shorts, and I thought I slid it into my pocket and I missed the pocket, hit the ground. I later found the phone in Lost and Found, smashed to pieces. But yeah, another 4 day festival and just so many memories. I remember the first day is kind of like a half day they did it.
Yeah.
I have that day. I mean, it was headlined by J. Cole, which was my first opportunity to see J. Cole,
Yeah, he was pretty tight.
and it's really cool how they do it. And I feel like a lot of artists probably love playing Pemberton because, unlike Sasquatch, where kind of the view is for um, the viewers of the concert, because you're viewing off of it, Pemberton kind of does it's like everyone's looking at the stage anyways, so let's put the biggest stage, best stage viewing to this beautiful mountain view. And I remember J. Cole just being fucking amazed by just like looking at this and his visuals on his boards, like the whole set was just so good. And then honestly, like for me, being that we had 13 people, when there wasn't a die-hard artist like I needed to go see, I remember popping around so much. Like I have names, but I
Mm-hmm.
know I didn't see full sets. Like I know Bass Nectar was that day, which one of our friends was really into him, so I went with him, and I think I seen a good chunk of it, but I know I wasn't there for the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Flux Pavilion and another DJ artist, which their
Flux
tent,
Pavilion
by
was
the
cool.
way, was so cool too. Like it wasn't really even a tent, but their
Yeah, it was
domed
massive.
venue thing was really interesting. I remember seeing G-Eazy in there as
Oh
well
yeah.
that day, and Boss, who's also signed to J. Cole's label. And then day 2 was headlined, at least for us, like I have them in the headliner slot, was Weezer.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Which I remember loving that. Had you seen Weezer before that?
I never had, no.
No? Which was cool. Like, it was a really cool nostalgia show. Because obviously, I mean, I know you were a pretty big Weezer fan.
Yeah,
I was decently, but like, for sure, it was more during those early years. I didn't really know too much of their newer music.
Yeah, well, you don't need to, but...
And then we had hopped around. I know I've seen snippets of fucking Alice Cooper, Ludacris.
Alice Cooper traumatized me. But...
RL Grime, STS9, De La Soul. The whole set, and probably, again, one of my top sets I've ever been to is the Flatbush Zombie set.
Yeah, that was another one comparing it to, like, you think, like, hardcore metal crowds are crazy. Well, Flatbush was fucking wild.
Well, and I also remember, I think I probably had some confidence in myself at these compared to when I was a bit younger, and I actually kind of partaked in the moshing at this, and it was nuts. I got my ass knocked to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, it was also way more friendlier. Like, instantly a dude, like, picked me right up. And,
oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
I remember you running through the crowd to touch,
Meech.
was it Eric? Or was it Meech?
Yeah.
And fuck.
I grabbed a handful of his dreads, yeah.
Oh, God.
That was terrifying, but it was fun.
I also remember you not sober one bit during that show at all.
I was on another level.
Yeah. And then day 3. Episode 3. Day 3 was headlined by the Black Keys.
That was a really good show too. I remember that. The Black Keys put on a really good fucking...
Yeah, again, another artist I only knew kind of a few of their bigger songs, but they were really good. We seen Kid Cudi again that day, which I think I remembered this set being a lot better than the first one.
Oh yeah.
We seen Run the Jewels, which also was a lot better at Pemberton, I think, than Sasquatch from what I remember. I think both were fine.
It was kind of weird because, like, it was at, like, 1 in the afternoon or something. So it was like, nobody was quite ready to get in the mindset you need to be for a Run the Jewels concert. So I think both crowd and performer were kind of
disappointed. Maybe Sasquatch was better then, because it was late. I remember it being...
Yeah, I think the Sasquatch one was better for sure.
And then we seen What's So Not, which is an artist we've seen quite a few times. Charles Bradley, rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. That was a fucking sweet show.
Yeah. And Giraffage, I remember seeing at one of the smaller stages as well.
Yeah. He was another one that was a little too early in the day to really be on the level he needed to be. That
was my complaint about Pemberton, actually, throughout the 2 years that I did go there, was the time slots. And day 4 will have another thing with that. It was headlined by Kendrick Lamar, which was by far the way better set comparing Kendrick Lamar at Pemberton to Sasquatch.
Oh yeah.
It was more intended to be To Pimp a Butterfly, so he played more of To Pimp a Butterfly, but he still played all the classics from before that. Jack U, which was an amazing set. I don't know if you got to Jack U, but
I saw most of it. But...
such a good time at that. For those who don't know, Jack U, Diplo, and Skrillex. And then Earl Sweatshirt was probably the most disappointing set of the entire
he was another one that was like way too fucking early.
Yeah, it was 2:00 in the afternoon.
And he was like making fun of the crowd. That was fucking hilarious.
And then just ended up playing songs off of a fucking
Yeah, he ended up just being like a hype man playing tracks that he liked, But even that, I think he's like, oh, you guys don't care about me. You just want to party. Fine, here you go. Like, he was just like...
Yeah.
It was funny.
Which he got redemption later in my life, and we'll get to that. But I had a pretty bad taste in my mouth for Old Earl, especially because we there was years where it's like we loved fucking Odd Future, like we were huge Odd Future fans. So, Churches, an amazing set. Cool. I love Churches. And then, I think I went to Zed's Dad and ASAP Ferg.
There's a couple there. I remember Billy Talent played and I caught some of it, and I was actually pleasantly surprised.
I remember when they played, but I went to something else instead. I couldn't tell you what's on here.
It was like, it was mixed between, because I went from there from Portugal to Man, and that was pretty
Oh,
fucking
okay.
sweet to see them, because I remember they played Dayman from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh fuck.
They played that track there. It was pretty funny. And then I remember a pleasant surprise from them, because I know we did see some of Missy Elliott too,
Oh yeah.
but we skipped the first half of her to see Matt and Kim, and that was actually like one of the smaller, more high energy, like good times I had.
Well,
At
Char's a
Pemberton.
big Matt and Kim fan, right?
Yeah,
Or
well,
you
I had
both
like
were?
shown her them from like I don't know. They were big on like I remember when my parents had satellite radio. They'd be on the Alt Nation station all the time.
Oh, okay.
No, they're pretty fun.
This is weird, but I always get Matt and Kim mixed up with She and Him, which is Zoe Deschanel's
Oh,
band.
yeah.
I don't know why, but
Yeah, pretty different
um,
vibes. But
this sounds lame with the Missy Elliott thing. I seen a song of Missy Elliott, and then I left to see Zed's Dead, which is
nice.
weird. I feel like a lot of people would judge me on that, and I totally understand that. But it was good. So that's Pemberton first year, and then the next year we have, yeah, that's it for 2015 for me. I just have the two festivals apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. My
I'm
brain
sure
is
I'm missing a concert in there, but
too mushed to really.
2016 has, in my opinion, one of my all-time favorite concerts. We've seen M83 at Grey Eagle Casino.
Yeah, no, that was incredible.
I don't know that I guess my biggest regret with M83 is not getting to see them when the Hurry Up We're Dreaming album was released. Like seeing
Yeah.
that concert, we seen it for, is it Junk? Is that the
Junk,
name of
yeah.
it? Which they still played songs from Hurry Up We're Dreaming, but that album is just, I would love to just see them perform that album start to finish.
Oh,
That
yeah.
album is such a story in itself, and Junk is great, but it had a very different vibe,
Yeah.
dancey, upbeaty vibe, which is great too, and I think it helped with a good live show.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
It was also our first show at Grey Eagle, which has grown to be one of my kind of little venues I really quite enjoy.
Yeah, it's actually pretty
I've seen
sweet.
a lot of really good shows there now. And then Pemberton 2016, you were not at. I
Nope.
went to that with a few other friends.
I was not there.
And it was an interesting year because you went from going from Pemberton 2015 with 13 people to Pemberton 2016 with 4 people. And yeah, it wasn't the same, but I also seen some of my artists that are on my bucket list, like of artists I needed to see. I got to see Purity Ring for the first time, which was awesome.
Nice.
I seen like some artists I'll mention as well that weren't that great, but Snoop Dogg was cool, but was not a good show. We seen Hippie Sabotage, which was a really good show. Joey Badass, The Killers, the Chainsmokers were actually pretty awesome. Chrome Sparks was amazing.
That would be cool.
Thorns was awesome. And then the biggest headliner was Pearl Jam, which was, I'm not like, I like Pearl Jam, but they're kind of a bit before my time in the sense
Yeah.
of like really appreciating them. I enjoyed their show though.
Yeah, they're good live.
I seen Tyler and Vince Staples. And
I'd love to
then-
see Vince. Fuck.
Yeah, well, we seen him for a snippet. Remember?
What was that at One Love?
No, at our solo Sasquatch.
Oh yeah.
Just you and me. We had to leave him because again, I hate when festivals do this. They overlapped him with Tyler.
Seems strange, yeah.
Yeah. And then SZA, which was for me up in my all-time favorite things. I broke off from the group. I remember SZA was performing the same time as Ice Cube, which again is a weird overlap for me.
Yeah.
But I did not give a shit about missing Ice Cube because SZA is probably arguably one of my favorite female vocalists of all time. Like, I just love her and her music. And I was front row for that shit, jamming every song with her. Like, I loved that set so much.
Nice.
And we also got to see the Funk Hunters, which were pretty cool. And then later that year, we went to One Love together for the first One Love, which was amazing.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was cool to see an actual legit festival with interest for us that was local, being just in Calgary. A hip hop festival that, which honestly, in my opinion, like looking at the lineup, it was a stacked lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So we seen day one was Big Sean, Janae Aiko, Atmosphere, and Action Bronson, which awesome. I mean, can't go wrong.
Yeah, well, that was good for me too because like I listened to Atmosphere a lot in high school and like kind of forgot they existed.
Yeah,
And then seeing them again there at One Love, I've been back on their shit. They're so good.
and it was good for me because I didn't know them that well. I knew you guys jammed them, so I knew a few songs. But it was like, holy fuck, they're really good live performers. I had also really liked Janae Aiko. She wasn't the best live, but I like her. Big Sean, I'm not a huge fan of, but he has some big titles, and it was a fun show from what I remember.
Yeah, and their little collab thing because they ended up coming out together.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean they're a couple, like they're dating still.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And they've released an album, if not two, together. And then Action Bronson, again, it's unfortunate it was still sunny out, so it didn't have the same vibe as Sasquatch. But he had also released an album since then, because he had released
Mr. Wonderful, yeah.
Mr. Wonderful, which was a great album. Like,
yeah.
And so that was cool to see those songs. And then day two was Tyler the Creator, ASAP Ferg, and Earl Sweatshirt. I believe there was another artist that day.
Somebody else in there.
Which, on a nostalgia level for me, was something that we unfortunately missed the opportunity to see Tyler and Earl in the days of Odd Future and in the days of like Earl Wolf and stuff like that. And they said it themselves when Tyler brought Earl out, they hadn't performed any of the songs that they performed for us for 3 years, which it was just, I mean, we expected it to happen. They're on the lineup the same day. Like, it'd be weird if they didn't, but it was still so.
Yeah, I was ready for them to not, though, you know? Like.
Yeah.
Well.
I'll still remember Orange Juice coming on and just the crowd and like you and me were just so freaking ready for that. Like, it was so good. And yeah, that was our first One Love experience, which was a fantastic festival. And then I actually have a few other solo shows that year, which we were both at. We went to What's So Not in Banff, the Dancing Sasquatch.
That was a fun fucking show.
Great show. And I think what made it so great was it was like a first show I went to in Banff, which, I mean, it's weird to think that venue is that fun, but it was so fun.
It was sick.
My first exposure to the Dancing Sasquatch, having time machines.
Yeah.
Which are energy drinks.
What is it? Yeah, it's like the Monster Ultra Sunrise orange energy drink with 2 shots of peach schnapps and a shot of vodka. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Pretty fucking wild. I just remember everybody like jumping in time to that music, and like the venue's old enough that you could like feel the floor bowing with each like jump.
Yeah.
Like you could literally feel the building shaking with everybody moving. But
well, and I remember that summer Stranger Things came out, and he did a Stranger Themes remix, which I remember loving. Which was so cool.
That was pretty dope.
And then in October we seen Purity Ring, which was awesome because it was literally the same set that I had just seen at Pemberton. But one of our good friends, Ryan, who hopefully you guys get to meet soon, was not feeling too good the night of Purity Ring at Pemberton. So he tagged along for this journey.
Okay,
which
nice.
was good.
Yeah, no, it was good shit.
It was a great set.
I think this might be just not that it has zero relevance to music, but I think we should maybe take a little break here because I'm about to pee my pants. But we'll arbitrarily mark this. That was our pre-Trump music experiences. Now we'll get into the post-Trump era. Okay.
Right. Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll come back and music in the time of fascism after this. No.
We know we'll be into it most of the night.
Because it is only through enlightenment I can become
2017. Was there any 2016 shows that you did on your own that you have? Or no?
I mean, not that I can remember. I remember seeing a bunch of random shit when I was at SAIT that year.
Right.
Like, I remember I saw, I think Cowpuncher was there that fall in 2016. That was a good fucking show, right before they broke up. Cowpuncher?
When did you go travel to Vancouver to see Lord Huron?
Oh, that would have been earlier. That would have been like 2015, probably.
Oh, okay.
That was a really cool experience, though. Just at the Vogue Theater there on Granville Granville Street, whatever the fuck.
Well, it's crazy too, because not like we were judging you, but I do remember like, holy fuck, you're driving all the way to Vancouver to see this band, and we were like, we never heard of it, and then like that was just like the peak of like them, or not the peak, but like the start of them, just like kind of.
Yeah, getting big. Yeah, up. It was right when they released Strange Trails, which is probably still my favorite album of theirs, but.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, 2017, I have the first show, like, speaking of the SAIT thing, this goes into the SAIT, it was one show that I joined you, was Sonreal. We went and see
that was actually really cool. Because he would only been, like, a joke to me, like, a couple tunes that were kind of goofy, like, I never really thought much of him, but he put on a pretty good show.
Yeah, I remember being a big fan of him. This is going to be weird, but I played a lot of Prop Hunt on Gary's Mod. I remember there was a meme thing or whatever you'd want to call it, where one of those songs of him that would always play when something happened. I can't remember, but it would always play, and then I got into him because I'm like, what is this? And then
I think it was Everywhere I Go.
Yeah, Everywhere I Go, and then the music video was its own thing, which was fucking hilarious. And then I just got into him as an artist, and yeah, it was a great show, like super intimate.
That's a great venue too, the Gateway. Despite just being a shitty little bar, it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was super nice. So, and then we went to Mother and K-Play and Beach Season at the Jubilee Auditorium that year as well.
Oh, I forgot about Beach Season. They just came up randomly, like on one of my Spotify algorithms. I was like, I feel like I've heard these guys before.
I actually haven't listened to them in forever either. I remember they had a single that was quite popular. I got into them, and then we've always been big Mother fans, especially Char kind of got us more into Mother. And then, yeah, I remember that, and so it's like, holy shit, I like Beach Season as well, and we also really liked K-Flay. So, yeah, I remember it being a really cool show, and I mean, an amazing venue. Like, I'd never been to the Jubilee before other than the Nutcracker when we were in fucking high school band class, so... it was cool to see like artists that we actually like. And I remember we got really good seats for it too.
Yeah,
like we were on second tier.
It sounds so good in the Juke.
Oh yeah,
that's the thing. Like you miss out on that like collaborative everybody dancing together in a crowd thing, but the acoustics are so fucking good.
Yeah. And then me and Char went to City in Color here in Lethbridge at the Yates Theatre. For those who don't know, I am a huge City in Color fan, and he announced this solo tour where he was going to play at the Yates, which is like a super small venue here in Lethbridge, and just play a bunch of his older songs and newer songs, but just all acoustic. And I was like, well, I'm going to probably pick up two. I'm sure I'll get a friend to go. And then I picked up two, and I got on there right when they came on sale, and I had seat 1 and 2 row A. So literally the best 2 seats I think you could probably get. Like, I guess any of those seats are probably just as good on that row, but center, front row, and which was crazy because it sold out in minutes. I remember so many people getting so angry, and I ended up with those. And then it was like this weird decision of like who do I bring with this extra ticket? I didn't have a girlfriend at the time because that would have been a great show to bring a date to. And my buddy Alex was going to school in Edmonton, and it was like finals week, so he couldn't come down for that. And I was like, you want to come? And then you were like, yeah. And then shortly before, you like messaged me and you're like, this is going to sound weird, but I mean, I like City and Color, but Char's just such a huge City and Color fan. Would you be cool if you and Char went? And I was like, fuck that, let's do it. And I loved that. Like, it was such a cool time with Char, and like it was such an amazing show. Like, to see probably arguably one of my top 3 favorite artists like that up and close and personal, and like where I'm living, like I don't know, it's definitely one of my top shows I've ever been to.
That's pretty sick. Because I definitely I do like him, but yeah, it sounded like such for a fan of his, it was such a different experience from a normal one of his shows that I was like, I can't be the one to take this opportunity.
Yeah, no. I mean, I wish I was able to buy 3 and then I could have just third wheeled the show, but holy fuck, man, it was unreal. And then that year, so I'll put this into context too. So you were living in Calgary at this point in that year. You were still going to state that year or what?
Yeah, 2017 in the earlier part of the year was my last year.
Yeah. So I remember money was tight for you and Char. Money was tight, what seemed like, with a lot of friends. But in December, Sasquatch announced Frank Ocean is headlining Sasquatch this year. And we're going to do a pre-sale. And I was like, well, again, for those who don't know, Frank Ocean is my all-time favorite artist. There's no way in hell I can miss it. It's at my favorite venue. I bought a pre-sale ticket in December. And I had a lot of, kind of maybes from a lot of friends, and they wanted to know more of the lineup. And basically from there, it was, we just, I don't know, the lineup came out, and I was super into it. At the time, it was Frank Ocean, 21 Pilots, and Chance the Rapper as the headliners, which were probably 3 of my most listened to artists. So, it was just kind of wild. The rest of the lineup, though, I think in some ways was lacking, I'll be completely honest. I know you were, really wanting to, but then decided just money was too tight. And then 2 weeks out, when I had fully committed, I was doing my first solo music festival. Frank Ocean cancels.
Of course.
Which was probably one of the most heartbreaking moments for me. Honestly, man, I remember being so upset because I had already had to come to terms with the idea that this was going to be my first full solo trip. Venue, it's an 8-hour drive to this place, but it was to see my favorite artist, and I wasn't even going to get to do that. But it's funny because previously talking about the roots of Sasquatch and the diehards of Sasquatch, they replaced Frank Ocean with LCD Sound System, which is arguably I had heard in previous conversations via messaging boards and stuff that I was on to about Sasquatch, that LCD Sound System had played previously at Sasquatch, and it was considered to be one of the all-time greatest sets of Sasquatch ever. So that was cool that it was. And unfortunately, it's not an artist a band that I'm super familiar with. I only really have ever jammed to one song by them, but I was still excited nonetheless. So yeah, long story short, I embarked on my first solo trip, show, and it was amazing, an amazing time.
Nice.
I was nervous, but it was I had to kind of push myself out of the comfort zone. I feel for the most part, going with a group of people every time, it's you kind of were able to just ignore most people. Yeah, you made subtle connections every now and then, but I forced myself to go and introduce myself to my neighbors. I remember my neighbors on the one side were all these freshly 18-year-old kids had just graduated high school from Portland. And so it's in the States, so they couldn't afford liquor. So I helped them buy liquor and
nice.
Just chilled with them, jammed with them. They were a good group. We didn't really see much of each other when we were actually in the venue. But day one, I had kind of spent a lot of time in the tent. There was this artist from greater Seattle area, I believe, or Portland area, named Manatee Commune, who had gotten huge.
Oh, yeah.
And he was playing in the tent that night, and an artist he had featured in his song, who I only knew through that one song, Clint Eastwood, was also playing in the tent, and then Bonobo was playing after. And so I was just in the tent, and I met this guy, and yeah, we just chilled the whole time, front row. I was in the front row of the tent. That year they had put these cool orbs that went up and down in the ceiling of the tent, which made the environment in the tent so different and so much fun. And I just jammed out in the tent the majority of the night. And Manatee Commune put on one of the greatest shows I've seen as well. It was just such a sweet show, super intimate again, and it was right where it was getting dark, but the sunset kind of, because the way the tent faces towards the sunset was beaming into the tent, it just created this amazing atmosphere.
Nice.
And just an amazing night there. I remember that one forever. And then I did check out a bit of LCD Sound System. The next day was 21 Pilots headliner, which I'm a 21 Pilots fan. I know they're pretty popular, and like some people like them, some people don't. However, unfortunately for this festival's sake, because of the ticket sales being so low, a few months before the festival, Sasquatch announced that they were going to do day sales. So they just sold, like, you could just buy a ticket
individual
for Friday
days.
or just buy one for Saturday or just buy one on Sunday. So because of this low sales tickets and them doing that, I think there's a lot of younger kids and their parents that wanted to go see 21 Pilots. So probably a lot of the Seattle, Spokane area people did that. And there was this weird vibe of a shit ton of kids that camped out all day at that stage just so that they could be close for 21 Pilots. And it was weird because for those who haven't been to a music festival, you generally see quite intoxicated people, you see high people, you see throwing up people,
Naked people.
And you still kind of had that. And you had the Karens of the world just yelling at people because they were smoking too close to them and their kids, which I respect, but
Yeah, well, then
it's
get
just-
up and move then.
But yeah, exactly. And it's also like you're choosing to bring your kid to this kind of environment, like. So
Yeah, exactly.
It was
It
weird.
means the environment needs to conform to that.
However, when the lights went out and you didn't see that and you were just at the show was fucking fantastic. 21 Pilots headlined all the major festivals that year, and they had never been headliners before, so they kind of did a really good job of like, how can we up our game to that level where like we appear to be like a true headliner. So they pulled out all the cards, man. It was an amazing show.
Nice.
I've been able to see them a couple times, and yeah, a great show. I also seen MGMT that day, which was cool. This nostalgia.
That'd be cool to see them, yeah.
I was front row for Arkells. Met them afterwards. Got them to sign the set list that I also got from them, which was pretty cool. Seen Blitz and Trapper that day too, which is a kind of a nostalgia band
That would be sweet,
you and me had listened to. Only knew a couple songs, but then Chance the Rapper was performing more from Coloring Book, which is still one of my, like, as much as I'm not a big Chance guy as much anymore, I still enjoyed Coloring Book compared to his latest album. So it was good to see that, and he still played his big hits from Acid Rap. Seen Fantagram, Rufus the Soul, July Talk, and the Shins that day as well.
Nice. I've heard July Talk's sick live.
Yeah. And then that summer, I had also went to One Love, which this year they combined with the popular EDM festival called Chasing Summer to do the Friday as One Love and the Saturday, Sunday as Chasing Summer. You weren't with me at this one, were you?
No,
I believe from my memory,
no. I only went to the one.
I
One
went
Love.
to One Love by myself. And then Ryan met me in Calgary the next day. I was staying with a few of our friends, and Ryan met me the next day in Calgary, and then came for, I believe it was the Saturday, Sunday, like just the Chasing Summer part. Which I remember that's a weird, funny story in itself. He was partying the Friday before and then lost his debit card.
Oh, no.
And then came up. Yeah, it was a weird time, but it was a good show. So yeah, the One Love was great for me, disappointing for a lot of people. Migos were supposed to headline and they canceled the day up, which, yeah, that's unfortunate. But I was there for Anderson .Paak, which he was awesome. I really enjoyed his set.
That would be sick.
Wale was good too. I don't know a whole lot of RZA's solo stuff, but I just know him from Wu-Tang, and that he was an interesting set as well. And then the 2 days of electronic music was just a bunch of electronic music, but I did get to see some of my all-time favorites in Millennium, and then not that I'm a big Tiesto fan, but I was so taken away by how awesome Tiesto's set was. He did this remix of The Killers, and it was just a memorable show for sure.
Nice.
This show we were at both at, and this was a fun show from what I remember. I feel like more so for you guys than me, just because I think I was driving for the show. But we went to Alt J with Bishop Briggs at the Big Four building in Calgary.
Yeah.
And then from what I remember, you, Char, and Ryan were completely fucked out of your gourds. But I was stone cold sober for this one, I think. Stone cold sober.
Stone Cold Snowmer.
Oh jeez, I just smacked my mouth. Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember much of the show?
I'm trying to think. The Tash one?
The
Is that
Alt
the
J.
one? Oh, the Alt J one. Oh, the Alt J one. Yeah, that one was something else. I don't even remember who opened for that one, but I was just struck by, like, I don't know. Alt J is one of those ones where it's pretty obvious when they get pretty high energy, but as someone, again, like the rap and hardcore guy, that if it's more slow paced music, a lot of the time I get bored. I've been getting better with that. But
Yeah.
Alt J was one of those ones where it's like, see, there's been many bands like this. Actually, Lord Huron is one of them as well. Where it's not until I see them performing it live that I appreciate the, like, musicianship and the technicality and, like, the actual skill involved in playing with it. Like, if you're not just shredding, doing metal shit, it's not as obvious to me.
Yeah.
Like, the artistry involved. But yeah, like, I remember seeing them, that it was just like, holy shit, these guys are talented. Like,
Yeah. And I remember the stage setup being really cool with these light bars, and then, like, they were very much divided to, like, the 3 sections for 3 of them, but all leveled with each other. Usually, like, one of the band, it's like all tiered, like the drummers in the back. I remember the drummer was like middle, singer middle, bass and piano middle. Like, they were all just
on each side, yeah.
I remember that being really cool.
No, that was a really cool show.
And then a month after that, we seen Odessa with Casbo at the Primo Center, and I do have a.
Wasn't somebody else there too? Wasn't
Oh yeah, Sophie Tucker.
Sophie Tucker? Yes, that was a cool.
So my story on this one, it's not quite to the extent of the story, but I just like the way it sounded. Is the Odessa overdose?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ate a weed cookie before this show, and it was homemade, so there was no way of knowing how much was in it, and boy did it fuck me up. Like, too much. I've really never done edibles since, to be honest. It broke me. But yeah, no, it was an amazing show. Just for the story context, it went Casbo, and then, or no, it went Sophie Tucker, Casbo, Odessa.
I feel like Sophie Tucker was in the middle.
Okay, so Casbo was great. I knew Casbo. He's signed to the same label as Odessa, Fort and Family, and I was just on the come up then. Like, I wasn't too bad, so I enjoyed Casbo. I knew the music, and then he went off, and I remember I went to go buy a merch, and as I'm in the line for the merch, like, I'm just starting to freak out. Like, I'm not doing too good. And then Sophie Tucker comes out. I meet up with you guys, and I don't know a fucking thing about Sophie Tucker. But for those who don't know them, they're great. I actually heard quite a few of their songs
pretty
now.
Pretty good danceable shit.
But something about them, and I do know they have, like, some weird, like, they kind of, the one voice is a bit strange.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it was fucking with me because I was losing my shit. I just was not into it, and for some reason I was blaming my anxiety around my high based off of the band themselves and the music they were playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I turned to Ryan and I was like, "Dude, like, we should get out of the crowd. Like, I'm not digging this." And he's like, "Really? Like, you guys aren't digging it?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. Kale wants to leave too." And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then I turned to you and I'm like, "Dude, like, we should go in the back. Like, I'm not really digging this. Ryan's not digging it either." He's like, "Oh, really?" And then so we all leave, and we're all just chilling in the back, just like way out of the crowd. And And then you're like, man, I was like digging that a lot. Like that was awesome. And then Ryan's like, wait, I was digging that too.
Yeah.
And you guys totally just blew my bullshit fucking story.
Yeah. Why did you leave? Like, you wanted to leave. No, you wanted to leave. I'm like, no. Oh, Cam wanted to
And
leave.
then eventually, and I think it was once Odessa came out. It was because I remember Odessa's set, but I mean, I was still
yeah,
really
it was
fucking-
sick. They had that drum line going, and
Oh god, man, that show, and I don't even think it was necessarily the state I was in. In some ways, I wish I wasn't in that state because I think I would remember it a bit more. But I still like when I listen to that drum set from A Moment Apart going into that song, and then that peak where everything went gold.
yeah, I forgot about
I
that.
still get chills through my entire body, man. Like it's just like, oh. I remember you like saying like with the lasers that were pointing down, like it was like, like oh, it was an amazing show, like an amazing show, and for a shitty fucking venue because I'm not a big BMO Center fan or big Ford building fan.
No.
They're just the audio quality isn't great. The ceiling's really low, which is another reason I didn't like love it. I think BMO's better than Big Four, but yeah, that's that show, and
I
that
think a little bit, yeah, the beam was a little bit better. I think.
is 2018 for me.
Oh boy.
You got anything about 2018? Or you good?
No, I'm not sure actually. Not really, no. Nothing that jumps to mind. I'm trying to think of when the one Every Time I Die show I went to was, but that was my only solo show experience. But
Right.
I remember freaking out too, like, oh my god, this is gonna be so lame on my own. But that's still probably one of the best shows I've ever been to, easily.
No, I get it, man. It forces you out of your comfort zone, which I think is a huge thing.
I think it helps, but also because then you don't have to like really worry about is anybody else having a good time. Like I was just losing my mind in the middle.
Yeah,
of the crowd,
I guess you didn't
screaming
have
every
me
word.
to pull you
Yeah.
out of the crowd.
But still, I guess just for my coolest concert experience, that's still it probably. Is that one there? They were playing Floater near the end of their show, and I was like right up on the barricade, and I'm just like I've been listening to that album since like fucking grade 8, so every word just burned into my DNA. So I'm just screeching every line, and all of a sudden I like have my eyes closed, and then I open my eyes, and fucking Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die is like looking at me, and he has the microphone on my face, and I'm just like oh, and then I just start screaming it and like hear my voice coming back through the system. It was the most fucked up surreal experience, but.
That's
It was
so awesome,
sick.
Yeah, no, that's that. I've never had that. Like I remember touching like Bronson and Danny and stuff in those shows where we got closer, but I've never had like a microphone experience. That's pretty
Like
cool.
definitely, like I was obviously screaming loud enough that he could hear me yelling over the monitors of their music. Like he could tell that I was just fucking belting it and like, looks here, fucking have at her, buddy.
So in 2018, we returned to the McEwen Hall for the first time in forever. To
Oh,
see
yeah.
Portugal the Man's solo show.
That was sweet.
Yeah, it was a really good show. I remember we were late, like we didn't even see the opener.
No, yeah.
Which I remember you said it was like an artist that was quite recommended to you.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was now, but
It was like something like El Dorado or something like.
oh, Waldorado?
Maybe that's what it was.
I think so.
Yeah, I remember that being a pretty cool show. It was kind of when they blew up with that one song.
Oh yeah, when Feel It's Still Finally Been Big.
Yeah, when Feel It Still blew up. And then a few months later, we seen Queens of the Stone Age with Royal Blood at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome, which was actually my very first show at the Saddle Dome on the floor, which was cool.
Yeah.
It was a
That
cool
was fun.
experience. I had been to the Saddle Dome a few times for other shows, more so in my childhood, but being on the floor was something that you always dreamed of when you're
For like a real rock show, yeah,
yeah.
it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it was a cool show. And then
That was my
that year,
birthday.
oh yeah, right. I totally remember that now.
Yeah, it was fun.
And why am I remembering this? Wasn't there some funny birthday thing with that show?
Yeah, it was something like somebody else kept screaming it's my birthday, and then nope. Yeah.
Oh,
and then
it's also what's
it's also Josh Homey's birthday,
Yes.
is it not? Yes.
Right, so then we sang happy birthday for Josh Homey, but it almost felt as though we were singing
Yes,
happy
that's what
birthday
it
for
was.
you.
Yes,
I remember
now, 'cause,
that.
He got the whole
Yeah.
stadium to sing happy birthday. I was like, yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. I was like, I feel like I remember something that happened regarding your birthday with that.
Yeah, that was
But, yeah.
cool. I forgot about that because I didn't know it was his too. So
Yeah. And then Sasquatch that year was our solo Sasquatch year, just the two of us. Just the
Mhm.
two of us. But yeah, it was a cool year because I remember like the experience as a whole. We were like, let's take it slow. Let's drive to just Spokane for a night, which we had a fucking amazing time in
Yeah.
Spokane. Like I'll always remember that night in Spokane. I remember we didn't really know what the fuck we were doing. We just kind of wanted to go to a couple touristy locations. We went down.
yeah, I got
Remember we-
pre-roasted.
Yeah, we first of all we bought a couple pre-rolls and then we smoked them in a park right in a fucking monument.
Yeah, some fucking war memorial.
Yeah. Then we went down to this waterfall, checked out the waterfall, and then we were walking around downtown. A little too late, we were realizing it was us and the homeless population of Spokane. So
Yeah.
you're like, dude, you should get us to a New York bar. And then I like looked up nearby bars, and there was this barcade literally like a couple blocks down. So
Yeah, it was
surprised
dope.
you with that, and then we just chilled in there.
Drinking beers and playing Galaga. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that was a great night. And then the festival itself was also an interesting year for the festival. I think it was a year where they tried to get back to their roots a little bit. Looking at the lineup, like it's kind of, in my opinion, of what I like, a weaker lineup, but also like I take a lot from that year. Like there was some really cool experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
The biggest thing for me when I kind of discovered my love for the festival is it slowly became not about necessarily seeing your all-time favorite artist. As much as that's like a great privilege to have, it was also about the festival itself and the venue itself, especially with something like Sasquatch. And so
Yeah.
it gave me a period of, it's like, I don't even necessarily care about the lineup. Like, I'm going to dedicate time to just break down this lineup, find new artists I want to see. And that's what I really, really did this year. And unfortunately, that was the last year of Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Um,
Psych.
but yeah, I remember I had no idea who Tash Sultana was. I looked her up, and because I was just looking to fill my days, it released the day-to-day kind of schedule, and I came across her Tiny Desk, which I was very familiar with Tiny Desks, and I had never seen hers for whatever reason, and was just blown the fuck away.
Yeah,
And
she's
I
sick.
was like, dude, we gotta go. And yeah, then you kind of had some recommendations from Char and a few of you that you knew, and we didn't necessarily see a whole complete set other than like some of the few. We just kind of bounced around, but it was awesome. I remember.
Yeah,
like,
I know,
we
it
got
was
to
a
see
good
part
time.
of David Byrne, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We seen part of Vince because we left for Tyler, which I also remember that Tyler being awesome as well, just because it was Flower Boy, and
Yeah.
I
that was a good
really-
show.
really connected back with Tyler again when he released Flower Boy.
Same.
Because I fucking love that album. That's an amazing album. And unfortunately, no, actually, I think we left Vince early for Tash, because I think we had to leave Bon Iver early for Tyler, which is probably one of the saddest things for me.
Yeah, I
So
remember. I didn't know much of Bon Iver, but that was a really fucking sweet.
Yeah, I remember
Sad.
just loving it, and like we were both just like, fuck, like we don't want to go, but we know if we want a good spot for Tyler, we're gonna
Yeah.
go. I remember we caught a snippet of Thundercat,
Yeah, I like my thing. Like myself some
Um,
Thundercat.
Julian Baker, and Jeff Rosenstock. I remember those two. That was it for day one. Day two, I don't know what the big artist was day two because I don't have them written down. I think we had no real plans for day two. We were just gonna kind of hop around.
Not really, but
We went to Spoon. I remember a part of Spoon.
yeah, no, they're pretty cool.
And then we seen all of Magic Sword, which that was
That's
like
the one that jumps out to me. Yeah.
a gamble. Like I didn't know much about him other than one song, and was just blown away by just the whole entire set. Like everything about it was
Yeah.
the nerdiest yet
So
fucking
goofy, yeah.
amazingest thing I've ever seen. Like it was so awesome.
Yeah, just synthy, shreddy, fucking.
And just like
Video
I
game
remember
music,
like the whole
basically.
intro dude.
Yeah, the
came out
fucking Shang Tsung or whatever the fucking
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We seen Polyrhythmics. I think was like the first band we seen that day.
They were really cool.
Yeah.
I like me some brass.
Grizzly Bear.
Yeah, they're
And then I remember we just
Classic.
kind of ended the night and we seen Petite Biscuit and Jawolf, which are two artists I was quite familiar with. Jawolf also signed to Foreign Family, I believe. So, yeah, it was fun from what I remember. And
John's in 8th grade.
oh yeah, and then the last day we seen like a pleasant surprise with Choir. A weird experience, but I had a lot of fun.
It was fun, yeah. It's
So-
definitely like a more interactive performance thing, but it was cool.
It's these two dudes, and they just do essentially a choir with the crowd. They split the crowd up into sections, and then you get your parts, and you eventually perform the song as one. And they film it, and then they put it on their Facebook page. It was kind of fun. We did
Nice.
Chumbawamba, I Get Knocked Down, I think.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and then there was like a lot of artists like I was familiar with. Like we seen Too Many Zoos.
Yeah, they're good.
No
performers,
Name.
too.
Oliver was another electric artist that I liked. We caught a bit of Ray Lamontage, I think is how you pronounce it.
Lemon Tang.
Lamontagne? Okay.
Lemon Tang.
Lemon Tang. Typhoon, I remember really liking. I remember we were just going to go for a snippet, and then I was jamming it too, and we stayed for, I think, pretty much their whole set. And then Toki Monster, and then ended it with Anderson .Paak.
Yeah, fucking Pac is so good.
So
Man. I
good.
love his shit.
My second time seeing him, but he had blown up a lot since the first time, and sometimes that's for the greater, sometimes it's for the worse. For him, for that set was for the best. Like it was just it's such a good set, and I
Yeah.
really got into Bubbling right before that, and he
Oh,
ended
yeah.
the set with that, and I just remember loving that. And then so from that Sasquatch, I remember we had this really like this year was such a weird. That was like an amazing year for music for me. Pemberton had also been canceled, so there wasn't much for festivals. But I kind of ventured out, and I agree with you on the sense of kind of like what you were talking about with those alt J's, those kind of shows where you just like it's not necessarily like something you think of when you think live music, but you appreciate it so much more when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I experienced with Tash Sultana, man. I had this
Yeah.
I don't know, like this weird emotion when I seen Tash Sultana that was just I left that show just kind of stunned. And then I was like, I have to show everyone this person. Like,
Yeah.
you're missing out if you do not know Tash Sultana. And then, lucky for me, I had the opportunity to see her 3 other times that year, which is crazy. Four times in 1 year for one single artist, and she's from the other side of the fucking world.
yeah.
But yeah, literally like weeks after that, she was a surprise guest artist announced for some Aurora Cannabis promotion show at the Palace Theater. And you had to be selected to get tickets, and we all entered the draw, and most of us got selected, so we all got to go. And it was a great show. We kind of got in a weird little spot where we were like above the stage, like over top of it.
Oh, okay. Those
Remember?
balconies.
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
You weren't?
No, I didn't get to go. I think I was working or something.
Oh right, I think it was me, Rain, and Ryan and Tegan. Yeah. So yeah, we went to that, and it was a phenomenal show. Really good show. I enjoyed that a lot. And then I seen her again at Edmonton Folk Festival, where I got to see Lord Huron, and I 100% agree with you on the Lord Huron thing.
Yeah. they're
Lord
so
Huron,
good.
as an artist, I checked out a bit because you guys had recommended. I was like, oh, I like these guys. And then they had gotten bigger over time just through their weirdly more so they got big by like putting their music into movies and stuff like that. Like they were in
Yeah, I feel like they're in every fucking
13
compilation
Reasons
now.
Why, right? So I think that blew them up a bit. They were amazing though.
Yeah, they're sick.
That was a terrible summer for forest fires, and it was so fucking smoky. But the venue where Edmonton Folk Festival is held views perfectly onto downtown Edmonton, and it was like hazy and like the sun had set. It was just a great experience to see Lord Huron. I got to see Tash Sultana again, the Decemberists. it was a really good show. And then 2018. After that, I think, were you at Greta Van Fleet?
Yeah, I came to that. That one was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a fun show. Another BMO Center show, which again I've said my complaints about BMO Center. I'm not a huge fan,
Yeah.
but
They're interesting in that, like, all of a sudden they were super big for like a summer because it was like, it sounds just like Led Zeppelin, and everybody's loving it. And then after a while, I was like, oh, they sound just like Led Zeppelin. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna just like stop giving a shit. But
I like them, respect them. I think they're very talented. But yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
wore off after a while.
it was pretty fun. But or actually, that show I remember, not I guess I have to be familiar with Calgary for this to matter, but I remember we live in like Bankview area, and we decided we were gonna walk home from the Saddle Dome, and we like almost made it home. We walked all the way down 17th Avenue, and we literally made it to 14th, and like looked up the hill. It would only have been like a 15-minute walk, but we were like, oh, we got like a fucking $6 Uber just to take us up the hill.
Worth it.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, I can't. I think I went. I can't even remember that. If I drove back to Clare someone off of that show. And then, yeah, like not even a month later, we seen Tash again. She
Mhm.
toured again for her new album at the Grey Eagle Casino, which is an amazing venue.
Yeah,
And it was a
cool
great
venue.
show. And that you are at, I totally remember you at that one.
Oh, yeah, I hope so.
I don't know if you remember being at that one, but
Oh, I very much remember. That's another one where she was just incredible because the way that she like builds her tracks through loops and stuff like that. But then she kind of had these like kind of like musical motifs that she'd fall back on in the way that it almost made the whole show feel like one long song.
it does, yeah.
Like it never stopped. She would just kind of return to these kind of like little phrases that she would just kind of use to stitch the songs together, and yeah, it made for quite the psychedelic experience. It's fucking wild.
And what I appreciate too is that for someone who's seen her multiple times, doing what she did with that, I think she tries to make it a bit different every time too. So it feels like a bit of a different show.
Well, it probably does because she's just kind of jamming. Like she's
Yeah.
just kind of like improvising, so you can never get the same show twice, which is a risk, but it pays off.
And like a multi instrumentalist, like she plays everything from
Yeah, she
guitar
runs her
to
little drum
trumpet
machine
to
to
a flute to a banjo, I believe, or
oh yeah.
yeah, like it was just like unreal.
And I remember that too because that's not long after the legalization. I think that's the first concert that I've ever been to that there was a separate weed smoking pit outside next to the cigarette smoking pit.
Oh, you see, yeah, I didn't
That's
partake.
like one of the
then,
first
so-
times I can remember. That was the first time I remember going to a public event and having there be like an official policy regarding your weed usage. Whereas
That's
before
cool.
it was kind of just like an unspoken thing. But that was
Mhm.
the first time I remember seeing signs were like, hey, you want to smoke a joint? Go over here. What was it? Keep the grass on the grass was what it was.
Oh my god. So then we went to I went to 21 Pilots in Edmonton, which was a great show. Like I said before, they put on an amazing show, and
Nice.
not much more to say about that one. Just it was a good show, and then that's kind of when my time. I had gotten a new job. I'd moved, and priorities had changed, and so I got to see Arkells at Whoop Up Days, which I guess I was with you guys when we seen a different day. What day did I go? I went to Whoop Up Days twice. I went with you guys to see
We saw Sam Roberts.
Sam Roberts,
Sam
right?
Roberts band or whatever the fuck.
And then I went with Logan and her sister. It's both sisters and their boyfriends. We went to Arkells, which was awesome.
Nice.
I like Arkells. So
Yeah, they're tight. They're a band that I never really gave a shit about. But when I went and saw them at Saddle Dome and Lord Huron opened up, I went for Lord Huron, but I ended up having a good time at Arkells too. So.
I literally just missed that. I have that on here. On
Oh,
February 19th. Yeah. Right before 21 Pilots. Yeah. Forgot Arkells Lord Huron.
yeah,
was a
it
great
pretty
show.
cool.
That was a
fun.
cool experience too. I remember we had left the show and we were all trying to get a cab or Uber and
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't happening. And we swindled this limo driver down to pretty cheap if we all pitched in, and we got a limo after the show.
Yeah, it was sick. Just drove around drinking in the limo.
Yeah. And then yeah, the last show, which again probably one of my favorite show. I also loved his new album. And it was like I got to go with Logan to Arkells, but this was like Seeing Color is both of our artists, so like it
Nice.
had way more importance. We had great seats, and the last show that we've been to, unfortunately, but City in Color, Scotiabank Saddledome, November 13th, 2019.
Fuck, I guess, yeah, that would have been my probably last concert too.
Yeah, you were
Because it
at
was probably not long after that the old virus started spreading through Wuhan, ready to change everybody's life. So
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, it was a good show though. I remember
yeah.
that opener was fucking phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't remember his name,
Fuck, I don't think I'll be able to either.
but he was unreal. He had ones. He did a cover of a Coldplay song which I enjoyed, and then he did his own song, and it was like fucking the crowd was like in tears, man. He was like emotional, like as fuck.
Nice.
Yeah, and City in Color was amazing as always. He had his newest album out then, which
Yeah,
I quite
it's
enjoy
good
his
shit.
new album.
Because that's when he had a band at that point, right?
Yeah, it was for Pill for Loneliness, I believe is the name of that album. But yeah, that is essentially my timeline for live music.
Yeah, pretty much a run through of mine too. Like you said, we've been at most of them together, but throw in a few other metal shows here and there. That's pretty much all.
Yeah, I haven't been to a metal show in so long. I if it was the right artist, I'd consider it. I regret not getting to go to. That was the last show that I could have gone to. I remember February of 2020 was Alexis on Fire in Calgary,
Oh yeah, I would have dug that.
and I would have loved. I was wanting to go to that. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it for me. I feel like along the way we kind of talked about our favorite shows. Like I don't know if we need to summarize.
Yeah, pretty much. Not really. Like, kind of the ones that I got most excited about are the ones I'll remember forever. Like,
Mhm.
it is so much of it is like obviously it comes down to the performers and stuff, but again, so much of it is the experiences around it, and I think that's why festivals are so special, is because you're devoting the whole weekend to music. It's not just the evening kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're making memories with the people you go with and the ones that you hang out to discuss it with after and stuff like that. Like,
And it's weird. Like it becomes so normalized, and I don't want to sound like super weird, but I kind of almost took it for granted in some ways. Like it's just gone. Like
Yeah.
it's something I can't even do anymore, and it's crazy. Like
even if you
I'm-
wanted to.
I'm really looking forward to even just doing this online concert. I think it will give some sort of satisfaction. It'll be a fun night, and
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
No, it's such a bummer, man. Like, and I'm wondering too, because like all these structures, like the industry was set up with a lot of just like small venues and stuff like that. And I know we've talked about it before, but even if we do kind of get back to a normal, which whatever that looks like, which I just kind of more and more doubt is ever going to happen, that infrastructure isn't just going to pop up again overnight again. You know, like it took years to build it. It's going to take years to build it back. So it's kind of a bummer that.
Yeah, no. It'll probably be just big like shows, I imagine, for the longest time.
Yeah, I think like that kind of mid-range stuff is going to be gone. You're going to only have the big Live Nation, huge $200 a ticket stadium sellers,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to have your local regional bands at the bars. Like, I think that's kind of.
I remember that too. I mean, this got canceled, but I remember Rage Against the Machine. I have a bad taste in my mouth for those motherfuckers
Same.
because of their tour. The tickets were $250 to minimum, and then they had tickets that were, I believe, in the 500s to 600s,
Yeah.
where they claimed a part of it went to charity. Didn't make the ticket itself different. It just
No.
made it so it was easier accessible to people with more money, and you get to feel that you're giving a part of it to charity.
You're making
It was
a difference, I know.
Fucking bullshit. Like, and I don't know, especially knowing like what they've kind of represented in the past. I'm like, fuck you, assholes.
I know,
Like,
me too. It definitely left like a terrible taste in my mouth because it's like.
And I like Rage, don't get me wrong, but probably a good portion of me was also wanting to go see Run the Jewels open for them again.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously the concert never ended up happening, but it was.
Yeah, and like that was the thing too. Is that I kind of wanted to be principled and be like, "Fuck that, I'm not going then." But then, I don't know. It's interesting how many people are like, "Oh, come on, it's not their fault. It's like they don't get to choose the ticket price," which is like, yeah, sure, probably. But again, like I'm just not going to spend that kind of money to fucking.
Well, I also kind of wonder too. Like, is this going to mean like for those bigger shows, our tickets going to increase even more now?
Probably. Again, especially if they don't have the competition of like smaller venues to have to compete against. It's just like they can charge whatever the fuck they want, basically. Like,
I'm hoping like with venues that are funded properly from like other resources that will be able to survive this. Like, I follow like the Palace Theater, for example.
mm-hmm.
I feel like they're something that's going to make it through this. I hope they're able to get on track. It's a great venue, and they do get a lot of artists I generally enjoy.
Yeah.
Something like McEwen Hall too will benefit by the fact that it's in a university. Right?
Yeah, I think that'll help. Things like the Jube and like universities and stuff like that'll be fine.
So, I don't know. There'll be an element that it's going to change things for sure, and it's going to take a while to recover. But I have hope. Festivals are a weird thing, too. Like I don't even know. How that's gonna
Yeah. Who knows, man? I mean, those are already kind of like a thing that we're getting monopolized slowly too, with like Live Nation and stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
Yeah. But yeah, I think wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it was a fun little retrospective, and yeah, it reminded me how much I miss live music. So
Absolutely, yeah.
here's hoping that we get it back in the future.
Yeah, soon enough, anyways. But that's another episode in the books.
Yeah, and I mean, for community engagement, if you're watching this far, fucking leave us some stories in the comments of any of your favorite live music experiences. But
Yeah, no, I would.
I always
love
like hearing people's concert tales.
Tell us your top shows, or just even name a few that you've been to, or ones that you've went to that we were also at too would be cool. But and I mean, if you're listening, feel free to share, like, and subscribe. We definitely would love to get a little bit of a larger audience on these. It helps motivate us to keep pushing, and yeah, we enjoy making them. So.
Sure thing.
And yeah, I plugged this last week, but for those who don't know, we are on pretty much most platforms where you listen to podcasts. We're still not on Apple Podcasts, I don't think, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we have to do that manually or.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with that one, but that's all right. Spotify is where it's at, anyways. So
Yep.
check
Get
us
on
out
there.
on the old Spotify,
Give us a follow and a like.
and yeah, stay tuned. We got some new shit planned for the next few weeks here, so we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
Peace.